sacrifices and be disciplined in order to do these things. And then also you get the future rental income credit. So now let's get into the second part of the strategy. Why a 4-family, Jay? Why multifamily housing? So the reason in which I recommend multifamily housing, and I used to stress 2-family homes, because in a duplex, like let's hide these two, in a duplex, it's a little easier to get qualified because they don't ask you to have as much reserves, right? So you don't have to have as much in the bank. With a 4-family, the banks may ask you to have 3 to 6 months savings of your mortgage payment or your mortgage PITI. PITI is, I'll write it here, P-I-T-I. That stands for principal of your loan, the interest on your loan, the taxes on your property, and the insurance for the property. So banks may want to see your PITI in reserve for 3 to 6 months when buying a 4-family home. So it's just a little bit more money you got to save, which is really no big deal, which is why I'm now going to and promoting more of the 4-family model, because if I don't give you that as a goal, you can never walk into it. So I don't want to stifle us by saying, hey, only buy a 2-family, when in reality, we could use the same qualifying requirements to buy a 4-unit, which actually makes it a little better for us, and we'll have more longer-term appreciation and residual income. So you just got to save a little bit more principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, or show those reserves in the bank. So the other reason for having going after a 4-unit is because of this future rental income that you'll get. This income also helps you pay down your mortgage faster, right? So you get to pay down your mortgage faster because of this rental income on these units. And then there's another great component into why the 4-unit. And that's because when you're purchasing a FHA loan or a conventional loan, there's somebody called an underwriter, right? It's just a person who sits behind a desk and they approve your loan or don't approve your loan based on guidelines. So that underwriter, when you go into this home as an owner-occupant, right? This is not as an investor. You get the 3.5% or 5% down as an owner-occupant. We call owner-occ, right? So as an owner-occupant, I'll write it here for us. I'm going to be writing random notes, right? Owner-occ. A period there, right? So as an owner-occupant, you can buy a 4-unit house with 3.5% down. But now you may one day want to not be crammed in with grandma, your auntie, and uncle who all went on this loan into this 4-unit house, where you may hate your neighbors or hate the area. So you may now want to go into a single-family home and be able to purchase and start your family, right? Or be able to rehab that single-family home, and I'll get into that in a second. So the great part about starting with a 4-unit is that it gives an underwriter and it gives you great incentive and great ammunition to go from a 4-unit into a single family, as opposed to if you guys would have bought a single family first, no underwriter would approve you to move from a single family into a 4-unit, because they're not going to believe that you're living there. It has to be owner occupied, meaning you got to owner occupy the property. So let me stop and say this. What I'm teaching is not hustle. I'm not teaching scam. I'm not teaching get over. I'm teaching strategy, right? Legal, legitimate strategy. And all this can be verified and checked by your local mortgage banker, your attorney, and whomever else. If there's anything that I'm wrong in this, please feel free to correct me. But I'm out of 10 years in the business as a licensed loan officer, a mortgage, a mortgage banker, branch manager for 2 branches, a celebrity realtor, licensed real estate agent, an investor, a developer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I pretty much know my stuff, right? So you can, it's very easier, much easier to go from a 4-unit property as an owner-occupant, now kind of upgrading in a sense to a single-family property. You will almost never be able to go from a single family into a multi-unit and convince an underwriter that you're going in owner-occupied, which would eliminate your ability to put 3.5% down. Because if you went from a single to a 4, and they would only look at you as an investor, you're now looking at 20 to 30% down. So if you want to avoid the large down payments on your quest to building back black wealth, starting from where I know many of us start from, because I'm just in tune with the community, right? I get it. So if we want to do that, we got to do it with a strategy. So that strategy is start with a 2, 3, or 4 unit, right? 4 being the max that you can have. You actually can have a 4-unit with a storefront. That's another thing. I don't want to blow your mind away too soon, but you can have a 4-unit, that's an ugly storefront, but you can have a 4-unit with a storefront and it still be an owner-occupied residential purchase. So now you can live in 4 units and have a store. It could be your family store or a store that you rent out. This is real facts of what you can do with 3.5% down using government vouchers and multiple co-borrowers. This is building black wealth. So now you can go from this 4 unit as an owner occupant, and then you can shoot down here and say, you know what, in a year, 2 years, there's really no stipulation. There's suggested guidelines, but there's no hardcore guidelines of how long you gotta stay in this property. Do not believe the myths of these people who don't know what they're talking about, who deter you from taking advantage of real strategy that other communities use, and who say, oh, you gotta live here for 18 months, you gotta live here for 2 years. That's BS. Tell them to show it to you in writing. Not one can. It's not in writing anywhere, to my knowledge. And if I'm wrong, I'm not perfect, but I'm telling you, I've done hella research. It's not my knowledge anywhere in writing that you have to stay in this property for any amount of time. Reason being, what if you and your family members all got in disputes and just couldn't live together? No one can move out? Or what if this neighbor, God forbid, was a stalker and was stalking your wife? You couldn't move out? Or what if this area was just full of gang activity and you just couldn't stand it no more? Or what if your kid got accepted into a school and you guys want to move to a new community for your child's school or for your child's college? Or what if your job moved? Or what if a whole bunch of reasons, because you are the lord of your land and the homeowner, you have the prerogative to move when you want to move. No one's keeping you in this property, right? So when and if ever you want to move into your next property, the strategic move would be, and the easy move would be, to go from a 4-unit property into a single-unit property. But now to do it with our strategy of building black wealth, you go into a single unit with the FHA 203K loan, which is a rehab loan. FHA will give you the money to renovate the property with 3.5% down with these same guidelines. So now you can go into a single family as an owner occupant, 203K rehab loan, and this could be a rehab that you live in for 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. But now the point of doing a rehab is you want to buy it right and buy something that by the time you rehab it, your after repair value, ARV, right? So let's write that down real quick. The point of a rehab is to create value through your renovations. So you want to buy it at a lower price because you're renovating it, and hopefully have an ARV that has appreciation and already has value in it. So when you go into this property, you'll now have value in this property. So maybe you're getting this property. I'm going to erase real quick so I have a little eraser. Do we know where it's at, Chris? My eraser disappeared. All right, we'll find it. Maybe we won't find it. How did the eraser disappear? Oh, got it. Sorry, guys. So just get this down. Rehab, live to flip, use the equity. Because the whole point of this property is for you to gain equity, right? Which is value in the property. So if you purchase this property, say for $60,000, and you put 40,000 renovations into it, right? So you're in it for 100. You're hoping, right? So you're 100. You're hoping that the ARV is gonna at least be, you know, whatever. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just say 140, right? Should be a good ARV on this property. So if your ARV just say is 140, you now have 40,000 equity, right? You now have 40,000 equity in this property. That's 40,000 going towards your family wealth in this property right here, because you bought it right and you use a 203 FHA loan owner occupant to go buy this home. So now you're living in this property, right? So you're living in this, you got 40,000 equity already, but guess what? Now you're not living here, so you're getting another $1,000 a month from this unit. So now you got $4,000 a month coming in residual cash flow. You got 40,000 in equity in this property. Mind you, this property now and your stores bring you a rental income as well. And now this property is going up in value also. So now this property is paying its mortgage down, going up in value through gradual appreciation, giving you cash flow. Now you're getting tax incentives from each one of these properties, giving you different tax breaks because of the maintenance, repairs, etc. And then you got 40,000 equity in this property. But now maybe 6, 8, 12, or 14 months down the line, you decide, you know what? I'm ready to sell this property and tap into this equity, or you can refinance or get a home equity loan, a home equity line of credit on this property and tap into this 40K without even selling it, right? Through leveraging it. Or you could just flat out sell this property, right? So now we're gonna sell this, make the 40K, you got this rental income going on, so now when you sell this, you have nowhere to live. you have to move into another property. So now you can sell this and move into another 4-unit or do another rehab project, owner occupied, 3.5% down, using the same ammunition, because now it makes sense that you're going from a single family, which you sold, now into another 4-unit property. And so now the 4-unit, same qualifying, same rental income, it may have a store, it may not have a store, right? Or you do another rehab project or another renovation 203K project. And the purpose of this, remember, you have to live there and it has to be owner occupant. You cannot commit fraud. You cannot fake the system out. Those kind of things will get you in jail and get you locked up. And then don't blame me, because I'm telling you, this is only strategy. It's not to be abused. It's to be used, but not abused and misused, right? So if you go in and you sell this, an underwriter can understand that you have no house, right? You have a mortgage on your credit, but you can show leases for all these units. So they know you're not living there. You sold this, so they know you're not living there. So now it makes sense as to why you would now move into another 4-unit and then repeat. Play the game again. Now you rent out this 4-unit, you live in this unit, you rent out these, right? You collect your rental income. You got rental income coming from here. You got 40K in the bank, right? So or now you can bust this move. You move in here, you live, rent, or you move in here and you rehab and sell at some point. This doesn't exist anymore, but you still got 40K. So now with this 40K, you could put 20% down on a $200,000 property as an investor, right? So now you have this 4-unit in a store. You have this 4-unit in a store which you're living in, and now you put 20% down out of your 40K, and obviously you wouldn't maybe use all your money, but just all hypothetical, right? You could play around with this strategy, but this is just strategy. It's not like, you guys get it. So now you can put this 40K down on a $200,000 property as an investor, and that property might be, just say, a 3-unit, right, as an investor. So now you got a 3-unit as an investor, a 4-unit that you bought on rock but moved out of, a 4-unit in which you live in, and 1 unit and are renting to others. So you got $4,000 a month cash flow in these properties. You got another $3,000 for each one of these units in cash flow. So that's $7,000 a month in cash flow. Then you got another $1,000 a month from these. So that's $10,000 a month in cash flow. So from all your units, you got $10,000 a month in cash flow. Remember, you put 40 down on this property, so that 40 grand doesn't disappear. It just goes into the equity of this property. So now you put 40 grand down. So for the 200 you paid, right, you now have a mortgage on 160, but the property was worth 220, right? You paid 200, say it was worth 220. You bought it at a little discount, but with my advice, you'd buy it way cheaper. So now if it's worth 220, you got the 40 you put down still in the property, plus the other 20 in equity in which is worth. So you still got 60 grand of family worth. And you got 10,000 a month coming in off of rental incomes, right? So you got 10,000 a month, 120 a year coming in rental incomes. Yes, you got to pay mortgages, right? So I understand that. It all won't be profit. I get that. But the point is you have cash flow, you have tax advantages, you have assets. Your credit is rising like a mother because you have some of the biggest mortgage or the biggest loans you can actually have on your credit, which is a mortgage. So now you got your credit rising, tax breaks happening, cash flow happening. Mind you, this property is going up in value, and you followed my advice, you bought this one right, so it has 30K in value, right? You got 30K in value in this property. This property went up in value 30K. And then you got the 40 that you put down plus the 20K this is worth, so you got 60K in value in this property. So you got 60K in value, 30K in value, that's 90, another 30K in value, that's 120. That's 120,000 in value plus 10,000 a month coming in cash flow, not to mention, let's erase this, your investor unit, it still exists, you didn't sell it, but now you're living in a 4-unit and you want to move into a single unit now. As a rehab or no rehab or whatever the case is, that's an ugly single unit. I gotta do that over, you guys don't clown me. It's hard to write from this direction. All right, square, square, square. Cool, better single unit. But now you keep this, right? Or you could sell it and cash out, but you could keep this. You still got your 3-unit here, right? So you got your 3-unit. So you got your rental from your 3-unit, your rental from your 4-unit, your rental from this, but now you're gonna move out of this here. So now this is gonna be rent, so that's another $1,000 a month in rent. and you're gonna live in this and buy this with equity, which is gonna have $50,000 in equity because you're gonna buy it right. So now you have this $50,000 in equity, this $30,000 in equity, you're gonna have this $60,000 in equity, this $30,000 in equity, now you're living in a single family house. While your credit is skyrocketing, you got tax write-offs from all this, cash flow from all this, your family's feeling good, you're feeling good, your kids are now homeowners, and you came from being a Section 8 or a middle-class worker or below middle-class worker or whatever your situation was. This is the path to start, the easiest path. There's many paths. There's business ownership, there's franchise ownership, there's stocks, there's day trading, there's tons of paths, right? There's commercial real estate, buying 10 and 20 unit apartments. I'm not gonna talk forever on all the vehicles of building wealth. That's what I do. But the point is, here is the path of least resistance, the low-hanging fruit for how to build black wealth for the average black American, the average black family. Utilize the ammunition of FHA and conventional loans and utilize it within a comprehensive strategy, understanding how to leverage the loans, play the game that other communities are playing. Let's just play it better, and let's do it together. So I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. There's a lot more details to this. I want to try to keep it short, but you guys get the point. It's starting off with getting qualified. I'm going to cover a lot of this in my book, Lord of My Land, which is already completed. But again, I don't even want to get to any of my stuff, right? I don't want to make this about me. I want to make this about you. So outside of anything else that I do, just take this information and run with it. It's free game for you from myself, Jay Morrison, Jay-Morrison-Real-Estate, and the Jay-Morrison-Academy. All right, peace.